Do you have a blog? Do you write a lot of documentation? Or you want to build a website? You need to learn something called Markdown. Hey, this is Tapas. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about Markdown, try to learn what it is, try to get into the syntax of it. But before we get started, I would like to request you to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on the content that I produce. Alright, so without any further delay, let's start talking about what Markdown is. Markdown is yet another markup language that you can use to do documentation or do kind of website building, do any sort of taking notes in almost like plain text format. But the magic is in something else. It has certain syntaxes. With that, you can very easily control the text. For example, you want to bold something, you want to link something, you want to bring image, everything, each and everything that you can do in Markdown quite easily. And you don't have to really take the load of learning lot of syntaxes. There are few syntaxes that you have to keep in mind, and with that you can actually do most of the things by yourself. Okay, why Markdown? One thing that I have already told, the Markdown is something like plain text. So it means that if you have created a Markdown file, which is usually with the .md format, you can take that Markdown file anywhere and open in any editor without any problem. For example, if you're a programmer using an editor like VS Code, you can do that. Or a simple notepad or notepad++ will be able to open that and where you can actually code. Today, in the programming world, a lot of developers are doing blogging. Most of the blogging platforms like Hashnote, Dev, they kind of support this Markdown format where you can actually write your entire blog, entire article in the Markdown format, and that kind of translate into a HTML at the end of the day. Another great usage of Markdown is in the open source world. If you are an open source enthusiast and actually doing a lot of open source stuff, you have already seen that a lot of README files, documentation are written in the Markdown format. So it means that if you want to contribute to open source, you have to have some knowledge of Markdown as well. In this video, I am going to talk about a few syntaxes, few Markdown syntaxes that you need to keep in mind, and that's going to be your 99% of the usages. You probably have to learn a few more at the advanced usages when the time comes, but in the 99% cases, these are the things that we're going to use. Alright, so without any further delay, let's get into the business. Before that, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please, I would like to request you to subscribe. Alright, so let's see things in action. Unlike HTML, there is no heavy usage of tags in Markdown. In Markdown, you need to know certain syntax. Now, we can actually use a notepad and can start writing the Markdown. But what do you want to do at the end of it? It has to render on a browser, or it has to render somewhere where the formatting is clearly visible. So for that, we need a tool, right? So you can actually use any tool of your choice like Markdown Monster or any other Markdown supported tool. But I like this one, the Dillinger, which is really cool, where you can actually write the Markdown syntax at the left and the preview you get to see at the right. Similarly, you can also use, a readme.md in GitHub directly, and you will be able to get the similar kind of preview. Or if you're using VS Code, you can write things on the VS Code right there, and you can also preview, which you are going to see at the end of this video, right? How to do the things in VS Code as well. Okay, so let's get started with the syntax. So the first thing that we want to get started with something called heading. Okay, so the first thing we're going to learn about heading. Now the syntax for heading is you need to have a hash symbol from your keyboard and then space, and then specify the text you want to have it as heading. Now if you see over here in the preview, we have 6 headings, like heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So heading and subheading. So you can actually manage all your heading and subheadings like this. Just below your heading, you can insert any text of your choice, and that become the text paragraph underneath your heading. So you can see the text is appearing over here. So heading is an important concept. To do heading, hash space the text, and to get the subheading, you can actually just increase the number of hashes over here. So if you give 2, it is the second level heading, 3 third level, 4 fourth level, and so on. So heading is a primary thing. Start using it. The next thing you want to learn is called code. What exactly code? You want to basically do some kind of code block or an inline code, right? For example, in your programming, you have JavaScript, Python, Bash, Shell, different kind of code syntaxes you would like to highlight. Or you want to do some kind of inline coding, for example, in the single line. In that case, you use this backtick symbol. This symbol on your keyboard is called backtick. So use the backtick symbol to start a backtick, then your code, and then end with another backtick. And then it is going to actually resolve on your browser with something highlighted. So code is important. This is inline code. We are going to see about the block code very soon. Now we are going to learn about list. First, let's look into the unordered list. Unordered list means there is no numbering. 1, 2, 3, 4 are not there. It's unordered list. So in this case, if you see, there is an unordered list of milk, tea, and beer. So how we can actually generate that with Markdown? You do that with a hyphen and then a space and then the text. So if I have to just add one more to the list, I will do a hyphen, then a space, and then anything else. For example, sugar. So you will see like the sugar has got over here. So this is unordered. Let's see the ordered one. For the ordered list, you just start with the number 1. 1 dot and then the text. Similarly, again next 1 dot text, 1 dot text, but when it renders, is actually rendered like 1, 2, 3. So you can see the difference of the unordered and the ordered list. But one more thing, instead of just doing 1, 1, you can also do things like 2, 3 if you want. It's going to give you the same result, but in terms of copy pasting and quickly copy pasting things, I think this 1, 1, 1 also works, which will result into an ordered list for you. Up next, let's learn about the task list, which is like with checkboxes. To form checkbox like this, code, review, commit, anything that you can actually toggle and untoggle, just start with a hyphen, then a space, then a square bracket, again a space, again a square bracket, and your text. So if I have to add one more, I will do a hyphen, then a square bracket, a space, and then probably say remove. I have got another checkbox. Now if you want to do a checkbox checked by default, it is very easy. Just type the capitalized X inside it. So if you see a capitalized X is actually checking this checkbox, which you can uncheck. So this is a task list. We have learned about the inline code, just some time back. But if we have to do a code block, in that case, you have to give 3 backticks instead of 1 backtick, then a new line, and here you rewrite your code block and then end with 3 backticks again. The similar kind of format can be used for doing any specialized programming language code block. For example, if you want to do something for JavaScript, just do JS, and here you can actually write a JavaScript code like log, and then you just end it. If you want something like a bash or shell, you can actually do something like a shell, say a code, and then you end it. So if you see, like, based on the language that you have selected, the syntax also gets highlighted accordingly. So this is called code block, very, very widely used in terms of article, website, and things like that. Now let us learn about certain text formatting. The first thing that we'll start with is called striking through. Strike through a text. So to do that, you have to start with 2 tilde key on your keyboard and end with the tilde. So there's a tilde, 2 tilde at the end, 2 tilde, in between there is a text, and the text that actually result into the strike through text. Now let's look into how to bold the text, how to make it italics. To bold the text, you just need to use 2 star to prefix and suffix the text. The moment I do that, you are seeing that the text is getting bold. Now if you have to italics instead of bolding, you just remove 1 star from the front, from the back, and it becomes italics. If you want to make both bold and italics, you just give 3 star at the front and 3 star at the back, and that become bold and italics. So you can use that. The last thing that about the text formatting that you want to kind of call out is called quote or the block quote. To do the quote or block quote, just give greater than sign, a space, and say this is quote. This is quote. So it appears like a quote. This is very powerful. This is very useful. Let's learn about link. Alright. In HTML, we know that we can link with a href. In case of Markdown, you can actually use a square bracket, and inside that you can put the link text, and then a parenthesis. Inside parenthesis, you put the link URL. So in this scenario, I have a line called, did you know I have a website? And this website text, I want to link it with my website so that if I click on it, it is going to open up my website. So for that, I have given my website address over here and the text website as the link text. And as you have seen, my website is actually opening. So that's what is about linking. Very powerful, again, very useful. We learned about link. Now let's learn about image. the link and image syntax goes very close to each other. You have to pay some special attention to it. So in case of link, we had the square bracket, link text and the link address. In terms of image, you just have one negate syntax, that exclamatory syntax just in front of it. Otherwise it is kind of very close. So exclamatory syntax, and then you have this alternate text for accessibility. You can give any text, like let us bring my favorite superstar image. So we'll say Rajni, and here the image path, you get Rajnikant. So this is how you actually bring image in Markdown. Note down the syntax. It's very close to link, right? So we learned about link, we learned about image. Now let's learn how to link an image. So that when you click on image, it actually opens up a link. Alright. So for that, the syntax is this. It is basically a combination of both the syntaxes, where for linking, you use the link text over here and then the link URL. Instead of link text, we are going to use an image, and for the image, this is the syntax, right? You have the alt text and then you have the link to an image. So similarly, you have alt text, a link to an image, and then as usual, the link to the site where you want to link to. So we are going to replace things one by one. We're just taking the Rajni sir first, paste here. Then we are going to take the actually image path. It can be from remote or it can be locally. And then we are going to take the hyperlink. In this case, I'm linking with my website. This is the one. And if I see, you see this cursor? For this one, there is no cursor. If I click, nothing happen. For this one, the cursor change. If I right click, I can see my website getting open in the new tab. So that is great. Now we have linked an image. Let us learn another important one. Table. Okay, so for table, the syntax is little weird. You have to kind of learn it with some close attention. So let's do that. So the first one that you see at the top, it's heading. And how do you determine this is heading? So this is heading is because you actually separate this particular row with this special syntax from the rest of the row, right? So when these particular things come, anything at the top of it, it's the heading, and anything in the below of it are the other rows. And for each of the row, you actually define a cell. The cell is between these two pipe symbol. So between this pipe symbol, whatever the value is there, that is the cell value. So first is the header value, which is fruit. And then this is something called emoji. And then you have something like a mango is a text, and there's supposed to be a mango emoji. In this particular editor, mango emoji doesn't come up because there is no support for this. But if you take the same table and see in the GitHub Markdown, you should be able to see the mango emoji over there. And then you have lemon, and then you have lemon stuff, and you actually continue with that. So this is a good example of table, a simple one. And that you actually see like how you form a header and then the rest of the row with this particular special thing in between, which differentiate the header and the rest of the normal row. So this is about heading. Another interesting thing about table is the alignment of the text. So you can actually align the text left aligned, just like what you see over here, or center aligned or right aligned. How do you do it? We do it very, very simply. So we have learned just now is like this one is separating out the header and the rest of the rows, right? Now, if you just give a colon at the left side of it, it becomes left aligned. You see the colon over here. Let me just try to make it a little bigger if it is possible. Yeah. The colon at the left. And then if you give the colon in the both the side of it, it becomes center aligned. If you give a colon at the right side of it, it becomes right aligned. It's pretty simple. Try to use. Next, another quick thing. If you want to give a horizontal line, you just can give 3 dashes. That's all. If you give this 3 dashes, it's actually producing a horizontal line. This is very handy. It's good to learn. Here is an important trick. Often you would like to have a way that you can embed an YouTube video on your Markdown. There is no straightforward way of doing this, but there is a hack to it. If you use a syntax like this, you can actually make it look like that you have embedded a video in the Markdown, right? So let's look into the syntax. The syntax is almost like how we have linked an image, almost like that. So you have this alt text and then the thumbnail image and then the YouTube video link. So basically what we are doing is exactly the same thing, linking an image. We are actually giving an image that we use for the YouTube thumbnail and then the YouTube link. So let's see how do we do that. For that, let me grab certain links that I have already prepared. So I'm going to copy those links from here and going to use it. So the first I'm going to copy the image and I am going to replace this thumbnail image over here. we got the image over here, and let's put the alt text, say resolve merge conflicts. That's what this video is about. And then the final thing what we can do is like we take up this particular video link over here and paste it over here. Now it has the video link also. You see this cursor change. You can right click and open up. It is going to go to the YouTube and try to kind of fetch this video. So this is very handy in case you want to make it look like that it is embedding something. That's what the video is kind of coming up. You can see over here. All right. So this is good. Now the last thing that we want to see is certain HTML tag usages that we can see working in the Markdown itself. So let's see that. To show you some of the other usages, I have created a project called Markdown Cheatsheet. So whatever usages we have seen so far, all these usages are very much documented over here, which you can go and start picking up. So one of the usage that I'm going to show from here is called HTML. So if you see here, if the syntax is like this, the P align center, this is actually going to give an output of a paragraph which is like center aligned. And then also I can do things like in a Markdown like this detail and show things like that. I can do a table and all sort of things I can do. I have shown something like an emoji. You see this emoji? The mango is coming for mango emoji, lemon is coming for lemon emoji. So all these things, the extra stuff that what GitHub supports in terms is Markdown syntax that you can also do. So I would highly recommend that you check out this particular project at any point of time where you feel that you need to kind of learn certain Markdown and you need to kind of practice certain Markdown. This project is an open source project, so it means that if there is something that is not listed over here and you want to make other people aware, please go ahead and start contributing this project. You can also find me on Twitter sharing a lot of GitHub, Git and the open source related tips. You can follow me there and we can actually get connected. Alright, so today we have learned a lot of stuff. The last thing that I'm going to show you that this entire Markdown doc that we're seeing in GitHub, I'm going to take it and put it into VS Code. So how VS Code also support rendering the Markdown as you code them. Let's see that. Alright, so I have opened the same Markdown file that I've seen on the GitHub with VS Code. I'm using a VS Code with code spaces, but you can use it with local VS Code as well. It will be exactly the same thing. So this is the entire Markdown file, which is having heading, code block and varieties of syntaxes that we have already seen in this video. Now, if I want to open this with VS Code, you can find this preview at the top right. Whenever you actually are on a Markdown file, just click on that. A preview will start appearing in a moment and you should be able to see all the stuff over here. So you see the preview over here. So for this one, each of the things that I have in the Markdown file, you have a preview, right? So see here, this H1, H2, I have this preview, and then I have this code syntax, then I have this order list, unorder list, everything. And if you are getting into this GitHub project that I have showed you, like the open source project, you will also learn how to link a portion of your Markdown file so that you can actually build something like a table of contents. So this is what exactly a table of contents look like. So let's see this also, like, what is the syntax of it, how we actually can kind of build that. This is how we are actually building the table of content. So every heading that I have written, for example, this hash headings, or if I go to another heading, say hash code, any heading or any subheading, if you want to link from your Markdown file, you just link it like this, just like your normal linking where you have the link text and then the URL. As the URL, in this case, you are not going outside of the Markdown, you are actually going to a section of the Markdown. So to link that, you take that particular heading name, the heading of the section, and you actually use a particular case, like a snake case, where you replace the spaces with a hyphen and all the text become lower text. So if I go this one, for example, unordered list of items, number 3. So if I go to this heading, just scroll a little bit, it says unordered list of items. Now, if I actually translate this to a special case where every character is in the lowercase value and the space is replaced with a hyphen, it will become a particular format. So that particular format I am going to use as my link text. So this is what I'm using as my link text. So whenever I click on this particular link like unordered list of items, the control automatically goes over there. Actually, we can see that. So I'm going to click on unordered list of items. You have seen the control automatically went to unordered list of items. So this is very cool. Please make use of this powerful syntax of Markdown. And I hope that you learned a lot about Markdown today. If you have any questions, I'm out there on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @tapasadhikari. Please connect, DM and ask if you have any questions. Please find the link of the project, the open source project I spoke about. And if you would like to learn from that, would like to contribute, please do that. I would appreciate you like, share and comment on this video and also subscribe to this channel. Thank you. See you very soon with the next video.